The Alien Princess's Dilemma. The twin suns of Xeraxis hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the gleaming crystal spires of the royal palace. Princess Xera stood on her private balcony, her iridescent skin shimmering in the fading light as she gazed out at the bustling metropolis below. Today was her 200th cycle, what humans might call a birthday, but Xera felt no joy at the momentous occasion. As the heir to the Xeraxian throne, Xera knew her every move was scrutinized by her people. She was expected to be the epitome of logic and reason, as all Xeraxians prided themselves on their ability to suppress emotion in favor of cold, calculated decision-making. But deep inside, Xera harbored a secret, a burning curiosity about the strange creatures known as humans. She had first learned about Earth and its inhabitants during her studies of primitive species. While her tutors and fellow Xeraxians saw humans as hopelessly emotional and irrational beings, Xera was fascinated by their passion, creativity, and unpredictability. She spent countless hours poring over reports and transmissions from Earth, marveling at the diversity of human cultures and the depth of their emotional connections. Now, on the eve of her ascension ceremony, Xera felt more conflicted than ever. She knew that after tomorrow, she would be expected to take on even greater responsibilities and move one step closer to becoming the emotionless, logical ruler her people demanded. The thought filled her with a deep sense of dread. A chime sounded, pulling Xera from her reverie. She turned to see her attendant, Vex, enter the room with a bow. "Your Highness," Vex intoned, his voice devoid of any inflection, "the first of your celebratory gifts have arrived. The High Council requests your presence in the Grand Hall to receive them." Xera suppressed a sigh. "Very well, Vex. I shall be there momentarily." As Vex departed, Xera took one last longing look at the sky. Somewhere out there, beyond the shimmering force field that encased their planet, was Earth, a world of color, chaos, and emotion that called to her very soul. With practiced grace, Xera glided through the crystalline corridors of the palace, her flowing robes of liquid metal rippling with each step. As she approached the grand hall, she could hear the low murmur of voices. Hundreds of Xeraxian nobles and dignitaries gathered to pay homage to their future queen. The massive doors swung open silently, and a hush fell over the crowd as Xera entered. She ascended the dais where her parents, King Zorn and Queen Lyra, sat upon their towering thrones of living crystal. Xera took her place between them, her face a mask of serene indifference, even as her heart raced within her chest. King Zorn's voice resonated through the hall, amplified by the room's perfect acoustics. "We gather today to honor Princess Xera on her 200th cycle. Let the presentation of gifts commence." One by one, representatives from every corner of the Xeraxian Empire approached the dais. They brought technological marvels beyond imagination, miniature stars contained in crystalline spheres, devices that could manipulate the very fabric of space-time, and biological wonders that defied the laws of nature as humans understood them. Xera accepted each gift with a polite nod and a few words of gratitude, all while feeling increasingly hollow inside. These incredible creations, which would have left any human speechless with awe, meant nothing to her. They were simply more examples of Xeraxian superiority, more proof of how far removed her people were from the messy, beautiful chaos of humanity. As the seemingly endless procession continued, Xera's mind began to wander. She imagined what a human celebration might be like, full of laughter, music, and genuine emotion. She pictured a cake with candles, colorful decorations, and gifts chosen not for their technological impressiveness, but for their personal meaning. Xera was so lost in her daydream that she almost missed the final presentation. A tall, stern-looking Xeraxian approached the dais carrying a small, unassuming box. "Your Highness," the Xeraxian said, his tone flat, but with an undercurrent of pride, "on behalf of the Galactic Research Division, I present to you the culmination of our latest project, a fully interactive simulation of Earth and its inhabitants." Xera's heart skipped a beat, her careful composure cracking for just a moment. The Xeraxian opened the box, revealing a small glowing orb. This device contains perfect replicas of every human on Earth, complete with their memories, personalities, and emotions. You can interact with them in any way you choose, study their behaviors, and even manipulate their world. It is the ultimate tool for understanding these primitive beings. For a moment, Zero was tempted. The chance to experience human life, even in a simulation, was tantalizing. But as she stared at the orb, a wave of revulsion washed over her. This wasn't real. It was just another way for her people to study and categorize humans without ever truly understanding them. In that moment, something inside Zira snapped. Years of suppressed emotions and secret longings came rushing to the surface. Without thinking, she stood up, her voice ringing out clear and strong. "No," she said, causing a ripple of shock to pass through the crowd. "I do not accept this gift, nor any of the others." A heavy silence fell over the grand hall. King Zorn and Queen Lyra exchanged worried glances, while the assembled nobles murmured in confusion. Zira took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would change everything. For too long, we Xeraxians have isolated ourselves from the rest of the galaxy, believing our logic and technology make us superior. But in doing so, we've lost something vital, the ability to truly feel, to connect, to live. She turned to face the stunned crowd, her eyes blazing with an intensity that no Xeraxian had displayed in generations. "I don't want simulations or technological marvels. What I want, what I demand, is to experience real human emotions, to understand their way of life not through cold observation, but through genuine interaction." The crowd erupted in gasps and exclamations of disbelief. King Zorn rose from his throne, his face a mask of controlled anger. "Zira, you forget yourself. This emotional display is unbecoming of a future queen." But Zira stood her ground, emboldened by the rush of finally expressing her true feelings. "No, father. For the first time, I'm remembering who I truly am, and who I want to be." She addressed the crowd once more, her voice unwavering. "On this, my 200th cycle, I make this declaration. I reject the path that has been laid out for me. Instead, I choose to forge my own way. And that way leads to Earth." The hall erupted into chaos. Nobles shouted in outrage, guards moved to surround the dais, and her parents stared at her in utter shock. But Zira felt more alive than she ever had before. As the commotion swirled around her, Zira caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd. It was Zex, her childhood friend, and the only other Xeraxian who had ever shown a hint of understanding for her fascination with humans. Their eyes met, and in that moment, a silent agreement passed between them. Zira knew that her life on Xeraxis was over. She had defied centuries of tradition and expectations in a single moment. But as guards approached to restrain her, she felt no fear, only a burning excitement for the journey ahead. With a subtle nod to Zex, Zira prepared herself for what was to come. Her declaration was only the beginning, the real adventure, and the chance to finally experience the human world she had dreamed of for so long was about to begin. A daring escape and first contact. The chaos in the grand hall escalated as guards closed in on Princess Zira. Her declaration had shattered centuries of Xeraxian tradition, and the consequences were swift and severe. But Zira had anticipated this reaction, and she was prepared. With a subtle gesture, she activated a hidden device in her ceremonial robes. Suddenly, the crystal walls of the grand hall began to shimmer and distort, creating a disorienting light show that momentarily stunned the approaching guards. "Zex now," Zira shouted, abandoning all pretense of Xeraxian emotional control. From the crowd, Zex emerged, tossing aside his formal attire to reveal a sleek, high-tech suit underneath. He tapped a series of commands on his wrist computer, and a low hum filled the air. "Quantum teleportation engaged, Your Highness," Zex announced, his usually stoic voice tinged with excitement. "We have approximately 30 seconds before the palace security systems adapt." Zira nodded, her heart racing with a mix of fear and exhilaration. She turned to face her stunned parents one last time. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice filled with genuine emotion, "but I have to do this." Before King Zorn or Queen Lyra could respond, Zira felt the familiar tingle of molecular disassembly. The grand hall dissolved around her, replaced by a swirling vortex of light and energy. When the world rematerialized, Zira found herself in a small, dimly lit chamber. The walls were covered in pulsing circuitry, and a large view screen dominated one side of the room. Zex appeared beside her a moment later, already moving towards a control panel. "Welcome aboard the Stargazer, Your Highness," Zex said, his fingers flying over the controls. "She's not much to look at, but she's the fastest ship in the quadrant, and completely unregistered." Zira marveled at the ship around her. "How long have you been planning this, Zex?" A hint of a smile played at the corners of Zex's mouth. "Let's just say I've suspected for a while that your fascination with Earth might lead to something like this. I wanted to be prepared." Alarms began blaring throughout the ship. On the view screen, Zira could see the shimmering force field that encased Syraxis flickering as the planet's defenses kicked into high gear. "I hope this ship is as fast as you say," Zira said, gripping the edge of a nearby console. Zex's hands became a blur of motion across the controls. "Hold on tight, Your Highness. This might get a bit turbulent." The Stargazer lurched forward, its experimental quantum drive engaging with a burst of energy that sent ripples through the fabric of space-time. The force field loomed closer on the view screen, its energy patterns shifting as it attempted to seal any possible escape routes. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as though they wouldn't make it. The ship shuddered violently as it collided with the outer edge of the force field. Sparks flew from consoles, and Zira was nearly thrown off her feet. But then, with a final surge of power, the Stargazer broke through. The swirling colors of hyperspace enveloped them, and Syraxis vanished behind them. Zira let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. We did it," she said, her voice filled with wonder. Zex nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Indeed we did, Your Highness. But our journey is far from over. We've escaped Syraxis, but reaching Earth will be complicated." "What do you mean?" Zira asked, her excitement giving way to concern. Zex pulled up a galactic map on the view screen. Earth is in a remote sector of the galaxy, one that's been designated as a non-intervention zone by the Galactic Council. No advanced species is allowed to make direct contact with humans. Getting there without being detected by Council patrols will be challenging. Zira's brow furrowed. "I didn't know about this non-intervention policy. Why would the Council isolate Earth like that?" "It's complicated," Zex replied, his tone cautious. "There are rumors that humans possess a unique quality, something that makes them both fascinating and potentially dangerous to more advanced species. The official stance is that they need to be allowed to develop without outside influence." This new information only fueled Zira's curiosity about humans. What could make them so special that the entire galaxy had agreed to leave them alone? "So, what's our plan?" she asked, determination clear in her voice. Zex brought up a new display on the view screen, showing a small space station orbiting a nondescript planet. "First, we need to make a stop here. Trading Post 92. It's a haven for smugglers, outlaws, and anyone looking to stay off the grid. We can gather supplies, information, and maybe even find a guide willing to help us slip past the Council's defenses." Zira nodded, a mix of nervousness and excitement bubbling up inside her. This was all so far removed from her sheltered life on Syraxis, but she couldn't deny the thrill it gave her. "All right, let's do it. How long until we reach the trading post?" "At maximum speed, about 12 Earth hours," Zex replied. "I suggest you get some rest, Your Highness. Something tells me you'll need your strength for what's ahead." As Zex set their course, Zira retreated to a small cabin at the rear of the ship. Her mind was racing with everything that had happened and all that was still to come. She was leaving behind everything she had ever known, risking it all for a chance to experience the human world she had dreamed about for so long. Lying down on the narrow bunk, Zira closed her eyes and allowed herself to imagine what awaited her on Earth. Would it be everything she had hoped for? Would she find the emotional connections and vibrant experiences she craved? Or would the reality fall short of her dreams? One thing was certain, there was no going back now. Whatever lay ahead, Zira was committed to seeing this journey through to the end. With that thought, she drifted into an uneasy sleep, her dreams filled with visions of a blue planet and the mysterious humans who called it home. Little did Zira know that at that very moment, on a small blue planet millions of light years away, events were unfolding that would intertwine her fate with that of humanity in ways she could never have imagined. Secrets of the galaxy unveiled. The trading post 92 loomed before them, a sprawling mass of mismatched metal and flickering force fields. Ships of all shapes and sizes darted around the station like insects, their pilots representing species from every corner of the galaxy. As the stargazer approached, Zira felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This would be her first true interaction with non-Ziraxians, and she was eager to experience the diversity she had only read about in reports. Zex skillfully guided their ship into a docking bay, the magnetic clamps engaging with a soft thud. "Remember, Your Highness," he said, his voice low, "this place operates on its own set of rules. Trust no one and always be on your guard." Zira nodded, adjusting the hood of her cloak to better conceal her distinctive Zyraxian features. Together, they disembarked, stepping into the controlled chaos of the trading post. The air was thick with a cacophony of sounds, smells, and sights that overwhelmed Zira's senses. Beings of all descriptions haggled over exotic goods, whispered conspiratorially in dark corners, and eyed newcomers with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. As they made their way through the crowded corridors, Zira couldn't help but marvel at the raw emotion on display. There was none of the cold logic of Ziraxis here. This place pulsed with life, danger, and possibility. Zex led them to a dingy bar tucked away in a quiet corner of the station. "Our contact should be here," he murmured, scanning the dimly lit room. A gravelly voice called out from a shadowy booth. Well, if it isn't the Ziraxian runaways. I was beginning to think you wouldn't show." Zira and Zex approached cautiously. The being that greeted them was unlike any Zira had ever seen, a mass of writhing tentacles and glowing bioluminescent patches, all contained within a semi-translucent exoskeleton. "Xerxes," Zex said with a nod. "I trust you have the information we need." The creature, Xerxes, let out a sound that might have been a laugh. "Information is my business, my dear Ziraxian, but I'm curious. What could drive two members of your oh-so-logical species to flee their homeworld and seek passage to a backwater planet like Earth?" Zira stepped forward, pushing back her hood. "That's not your concern. We're paying for information, not an interrogation." Zax's bioluminescent patches pulsed with interest. "Ah, the princess herself. Your little escape has caused quite a stir, you know. There's a hefty bounty on your heads." Zex tensed beside her, but Zira remained calm. "All the more reason for you to help us quickly and discreetly. Now, do you have a way for us to reach Earth or not?" Xerxes' tentacles writhed in what might have been amusement. "Direct. I like that. Very well, I do have a way. But it'll cost you more than just credits. I want to know why. Why risk everything for a species as primitive as humans?" Zira hesitated, then decided that a partial truth might be the best approach. "I believe there's more to humans than the galaxy knows. I intend to find out what makes them so special." Xerxes leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Ah, so you've heard the rumors too. About the true reason for the non-intervention policy." Zira's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "Let's just say that humans aren't as primitive as the Galactic Council would have everyone believe. There are whispers of a unique ability they possess, something that could change the balance of power in the entire galaxy." Zex interjected, his voice skeptical. "That's impossible. We've studied humans for centuries. They're technologically inferior, fragmented, often irrational. And yet, Xerxes cut him off. The most powerful beings in the galaxy are terrified of them. Have you never wondered why? Zura's mind raced. Could this be true? Was there more to her fascination with humanity than she had realized? Xerxes continued, his voice low and urgent. The truth is, humans have a gift, a power that no other species possesses. They call it imagination. It allows them to conceive of things that don't exist, to reshape reality itself through sheer force of will. That's just creative thinking, Zex argued. Many species have that capability. Xerxes shook his head, his tentacles rippling. No, this is different. Human imagination, when fully awakened, can alter the very fabric of the universe. They can make the impossible possible. And that, my friends, is why the Galactic Council fears them. Zira felt a shiver run down her spine. If this was true, it explained so much. Her inexplicable draw to human culture, the strict non-intervention policy, the lengths to which the galaxy had gone to keep humanity isolated. So the policy isn't to protect humans from outside influence, she said slowly, it's to protect the rest of the galaxy from them. Xerxes nodded, his bioluminescent patches glowing brightly. Exactly. But there are those who believe that human imagination could be the key to unlocking the next stage of galactic evolution, and others who want to harness it as a weapon. Zex looked troubled. This is far bigger than we anticipated, Your Highness. Perhaps we should reconsider. But Zira cut him off, her eyes blazing with determination. No, this only makes our mission more important. We need to reach Earth to understand this power for ourselves. Xerxes regarded her with what seemed like approval. Well said, Princess. In that case, I have a proposition for you. There's a ship leaving for the Sol system in 6 hours. The captain owes me a favor. I can get you on board, but you'll need to blend in with the crew. What's the catch? Zex asked, suspicion clear in his voice. Xerxes' tentacles curled in amusement. The catch, my dear Xeraxian, is that the ship is on a covert mission for Galactic Council itself. They're sending a team to study human imagination up close, in direct violation of their own non-intervention policy. Zura and Zex exchanged glances. This was a dangerous gambit, but it might be their best chance to reach Earth undetected. We'll do it, Zura said firmly. As they left the bar to prepare for their journey, Zura's mind whirled with possibilities. She had come seeking to understand human emotions, but now she found herself at the center of a galactic conspiracy. Whatever awaited them on Earth, she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Little did she know that at that very moment, on a small blue planet millions of light years away, a young human named Alex was about to make a discovery that would shake the foundations of the universe and set him on a collision course with the alien princess who sought to understand his kind. Awakening the human potential. Alex Ryder sat cross-legged on the floor of his cramped apartment, surrounded by a chaos of papers, circuit boards, and holographic displays. At 25, he was already considered a prodigy in the field of quantum computing, but his latest project went far beyond anything the scientific community could imagine. For months, Alex had been working on what he called the consciousness amplifier, a device that, in theory, could enhance the human mind's natural ability to influence quantum states. It was based on his groundbreaking hypothesis that human consciousness was intimately connected to the fabric of the universe itself. Most of his colleagues had dismissed his ideas as fringe science, but Alex knew he was onto something big. He could feel it in his bones, in the tingling sensation that ran through his body every time he activated the prototype. Okay, AOIA, Alex said, addressing the AI assistant he had programmed to help with his experiments. Let's run test sequence 37B. Initiating test sequence, AOIA's smooth voice responded. Please note, Alex, that the power requirements for this test exceed safe levels. There is a 79% chance of overload. Alex grinned, his eyes glowing with excitement. That's what they said about splitting the atom. Sometimes you have to take risks to change the world. He placed the neural interface crown on his head, its sleek design contrasting sharply with the jury-rigged appearance of the rest of the device. As the consciousness amplifier hummed to life, Alex closed his eyes and focused his thoughts. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, he began to feel a strange sensation, as if his mind was expanding, reaching out beyond the confines of his body. The air around him began to shimmer, objects in the room started to vibrate, and the holographic displays flickered with strange alien symbols. Alex, Aria's voice cut through his concentration, a note of urgency in her tone. I'm detecting a massive surge in quantum fluctuations. The fabric of space-time around you is becoming unstable. But Alex barely heard her. He was lost in the sensation, his mind soaring through layers of reality he had never known existed. Suddenly, he could see, truly see, the underlying structure of the universe. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly overwhelming. And then, without warning, everything went white. Miles above the Earth, on board the Galactic Council's covert research vessel, alarms began blaring. Zira and Zex, disguised as junior researchers, exchanged worried glances as the ship's captain rushed onto the bridge. Report, the captain barked, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in agitation. A technician's tentacles flew over the control panel. We're detecting an enormous quantum anomaly originating from the planet's surface. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Zira felt her heart race. Could this be related to the human imagination Zaxis had spoken of? The captain turned to the lead scientist, a tall, spindly being with translucent skin. Dr. Zorn, what are we looking at? Dr. Zorn's bioluminescent patches pulsed with excitement. If these readings are correct, we're witnessing the awakening of a Class 5 cosmic consciousness. The very thing we've been searching for. The bridge fell silent. Even Zira, with her limited knowledge of galactic classifications, knew that a Class 5 event was supposed to be theoretically impossible. How, the captain whispered. They're not supposed to be capable of this for at least another 1,000 years. Dr. Zorn shook his head, his eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of energy now visible on the ship's main viewer. It seems we've drastically underestimated them. If a human has managed to achieve this level of cosmic awareness— He didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew what it meant. The careful balance of power in the galaxy, maintained for millennia by keeping humanity ignorant of its true potential, was about to be shattered. Zira couldn't contain her curiosity any longer. What exactly does a Class 5 cosmic consciousness mean? She asked, trying to sound like a naive junior researcher. Dr. Zorn turned to her, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of fear and awe. It means, young one, that a human has managed to fully bridge the gap between mind and matter. They can reshape reality at will, tap into the fundamental forces of the universe, even traverse dimensions. They've become, for lack of a better term, a god. The ship shuddered as another wave of energy washed over them. On the viewer, the vortex was growing, tendrils of impossible colors reaching out into space. We need to contain this, the captain said urgently. If the council finds out we've lost control of the situation. But his words were cut short as a blinding light engulfed the ship. For a moment, Zira felt as if she was everywhere and nowhere at once. Her consciousness expanded to the farthest reaches of the cosmos. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The ship's systems came back online, and the viewer showed a now calm Earth rotating peacefully below them. What just happened? Zex whispered, his usual composure shaken. Before anyone could answer, a new voice filled the bridge, a human voice, echoing not through speakers, but directly in their minds. Hello, it said, a mixture of wonder and confusion evident in its tone. I can see you. All of you, everywhere. What's happening to me? Zira felt a shiver run down her spine. This was it, the moment when humanity took its first step onto the galactic stage, and she was here to witness it. As the crew of the ship tried to make sense of what was happening, Zira made a decision. She had come to Earth to understand humans, to experience their emotions and way of life. Now it seemed she would be part of something far greater, the dawn of a new era for the entire galaxy. "We need to make contact," she said, stepping forward. "Not as observers or researchers, but as equals. Whatever this human has become, they're going to need guidance, understanding, and most of all, friendship." The captain turned to her, surprise evident on his face. "And who are you to make such a decision?" Zira stood tall, letting her disguise fall away. "I am Princess Zira of Ziraxis, and I believe that the time for secrets and non-intervention is over. The galaxy is about to change, and we need to be ready for what comes next." As shocked murmurs rippled through the bridge, Zira locked eyes with Zex. He nodded slightly, a small smile on his face. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. And somewhere on the planet below, a young human named Alex Ryder was just beginning to understand the incredible power he had unleashed. A power that would reshape the destiny of humanity and the entire galaxy. The cosmic nexus. The Earth hung in space, a blue marble wrapped in swirling tendrils of ethereal energy. Alex Ryder, now fully aware of his newfound powers, floated above his home planet, marveling at the cosmic tapestry he could now perceive. Zira, Zex, and a small team from the research vessel had transported down to Alex's location, their advanced technology allowing them to exist in the vacuum of space alongside him. The princess stared in awe at the human before her, his body radiating with an otherworldly glow. "You're not human," Alex said, his voice resonating directly in their minds. "I can see your true forms, your histories, the very essence of your beings." Zira stepped forward, her iridescent skin shimmering in the starlight. "I am Princess Zira of Ziraxis. We've come to." But before she could finish, a massive ship blinked into existence above them. It dwarfed the research vessel, its sleek design speaking of power and advanced technology far beyond anything Zira had ever seen. "The Galactic Council," Zex whispered, his voice filled with dread. A booming voice echoed across space, bypassing their communication devices and resonating directly in their minds. "This is High Counselor Xon of the Galactic Confederation. The human known as Alex Ryder is to be detained immediately. His power poses a threat to the cosmic balance." Alex's eyes narrowed, the space around him warping slightly. "I don't understand. What's happening? Why does everyone seem to fear what I've become?" Zira moved closer to Alex, her heart racing. This was the moment that would define the future of the galaxy. "Alex, listen to me. Your species possesses a unique gift, the power of imagination. It allows you to reshape reality itself. The Galactic Council has kept humanity isolated because they fear this potential. But why?" Alex asked, confusion and anger warring in his voice. "If we have this gift, shouldn't it be used to help everyone?" Before Zira could respond, beams of energy lanced out from the Council ship, attempting to ensnare Alex in a containment field. But the attacks simply warped around him, the laws of physics bending to his unconscious will. "Stop," Zira shouted, positioning herself between Alex and the ship. "This isn't the way." High Counselor Xon's voice boomed again, tinged with desperation. "You don't understand, Princess Zira. If humans learn to harness this power, it will upset millennia of careful balance. The cosmic order will crumble." Alex's eyes blazed with an inner fire. "Balance? Order? From what I can see, your order is built on suppression and fear. That ends now." With a mere thought, Alex expanded his consciousness, connecting with every human mind on Earth simultaneously. In an instant, he shared his knowledge, awakening the latent potential within each of his fellow humans. The effect was immediate and awe-inspiring. The ethereal energy surrounding Earth intensified, forming a shimmering barrier that encapsulated the entire planet. Millions of minds joined as one, their collective imagination becoming a force that could reshape the very fabric of reality. The Galactic Council ship shuddered, caught in the grip of this newfound power. But instead of destroying it, the humans simply held it in place. Alex turned to Zira, his eyes swirling with cosmic energy. I understand now. The gift of our imagination isn't meant to dominate or control. It's meant to create, to explore, to bridge the gaps between all sentient beings. Zira felt tears welling in her eyes, overwhelmed by the beauty and potential of what she was witnessing. This was what she had always sensed about humanity, their capacity for empathy, for connection, for seeing beyond the possible. With a gentle smile, Alex extended his hand towards the council's ship. Suddenly, every being on board, including High Councilor Xon, found themselves teleported into the space around Earth. Look, Alex said, his voice echoing across the cosmos. Look at what we can achieve together. The assembled aliens watched in amazement as the humans' collective consciousness reshaped the space around them. Barren moons transformed into lush paradises. The sun's volatile surface calmed, extending its life by billions of years. Wormholes winked into existence, connecting distant parts of the galaxy in an instant. This is the true power of imagination, Zira breathed, understanding finally dawning on her. Not to conquer or control, but to create, to improve, to unite. High Councilor Xon floated closer, his earlier fear replaced by wonder. We were wrong. All this time, we thought human potential was a threat. But it's a gift to the entire galaxy. Alex nodded, the glow around him softening. We're not interested in ruling or dominating. Earth has always been a melting pot of cultures and ideas. Now, we want to extend that to the stars, to learn from you, to share with you, to grow together. Zira felt a surge of emotion unlike anything she had ever experienced. This was what she had left Ziraxis for, not just to observe human emotions, but to be part of something greater, something that could change the galaxy for the better. The age of isolation is over, she declared, looking from Alex to Xon and then to the assembled representatives of 100 alien races. It's time for a new galactic order, one built on cooperation, creativity, and the infinite potential of united minds. As if in response to her words, the shimmering energy around Earth pulsed, sending a wave of warmth and possibility washing over every being present. In that moment, ancient enmities were forgotten, fears were soothed, and a new understanding was born. Alex, his humanity beautifully intact despite his cosmic awareness, grinned at Zira. So, Princess, still interested in experiencing human emotions up close? Zira laughed, a sound of pure joy that seemed to resonate with the very stars themselves. More than ever, she replied, though I have a feeling the adventure is only just beginning. As alien ships began to descend towards Earth, welcomed by a humanity ready to take its place among the stars, Zira realized that her journey had led her to something far greater than she had ever imagined. She had sought to understand human emotions, but in the process, she had helped usher in a new age of galactic harmony. The Earth, once a hidden jewel in the cosmic ocean, now shone as a beacon of hope and possibility for all sentient beings. And as Zira looked out at the infinite expanse of space, she knew that the greatest adventure of all, the adventure of unity, creativity, and boundless imagination, was only just beginning.